afternoon everybody. This is just one abutment, if that's the right term, of the Clywedog Dam near Llanidloes in Wales, and it's approximately a 1/26 scale. Scale is a very loose term of the dam itself, which was used in the what's generally known as the Dam Busters advert in 1986 for Land Rover, when they winched up a Defender, well, what became a Defender 90, up to the top of the dam. Now, a spoiler alert for you, it wasn't the winch on the Land Rover that did the job, because it wasn't big enough. It couldn't hold enough cable for a start, and the engine had probably seized up because of the incline of the dam. Now we'll move round a bit. You can see why I've chosen to do this with a helicopter. You can see already at this very rough scale of 1/26, it is quite tall. The abutment face itself is around about 9'3". It's a little bit more than that. And this is the only place here where I live where I can actually build it in situ. Now, it's not quite complete. As you can see, I can't really do much up there. I need to build the platform at the top for the Land Rover to go onto, and there's a few other things, such as at least two more, I think, one or two more runners formed by probably as these 1/2-inch pulleys. Now, because it's such an ungained structure, I can't move it out without taking it apart into roughly 4, maybe 5 sections, plus also it won't fit in my real Defender 90. So what will happen is, for the next stage, it will be split on the face here into 3 sections. Where you see the black bolts, it will be split. As we come down, you can see there's more black bolts here. It'll be split there. Now also it will be split down the bottom there, and probably there, and of course there, opposite the first one. Now all that should mean, hopefully, it will go in the Land Rover. The length is the issue. The actual angle of the abutment, I had to guess. I couldn't find anything official about it. The real dam is 236 feet high. Now this, looking at pictures and guesstimating, making a protractor using Meccano, in part anyway, means it's got a 60 to 65 degree angle. Now, for safety reasons, I've gone for the 60 degree angle, and as you can imagine, it's quite narrow for its height. There is a set of, shall we say, legs already made for this side, and they will mount just there and at the bottom, and across this way, there, and a bit further up there. Now really they're not that strong, but the main support for safety reasons will be guy ropes, which may or may not include Meccano, at least in part. They may be bought in, as you can imagine. You've got to think about it a little bit putting this up, and it's far too windy and far too wet at the moment, unfortunately, because I do have the time to do it. Now, the real dam, again a spoiler, had a winch fixed to the top to winch the Land Rover up, and this is my version. It's got a very rough, if I've got my maths right, ratio of 3,600 to 1. We're in off a 6-volt modern Meccano motor there, or fairly modern, not that recent now. Probably haven't had those in sets for about 5 years. 6-volt battery box. It has now been lubed, if you've seen the short videos, and it does work up to a point. I am yet to try it on really decent batteries, which I've got to order offline really. If it doesn't work with one motor hauling up my model Land Rover 90 up, my V8, then I shall add another motor here. The design is such, so we say ad hoc design is such that hopefully I can put a platform in and run it off a steam engine, and it has, if you've already seen the short videos, it has already been tried by hand power with this crank handle here, and yes, I did get a little bit of a blister on my finger. I have to dismantle it because I need to get to the other side and be able to fit the legs, or at least make them up. I don't have to fit them really now. Copy the ones I've already made, and hopefully it will all work. And I've been doing this now on and off for about 4 years. It's not very complicated. It's very much a ad hoc design. It's very repetitive, which is why you just do it little and often. If you'll look down the bottom just before we go, you'll see that there's yellow flexible plates used, and there's some green slightly shorter strips in places, some zinc, mainly because it was built with what I got at the time. I've got more now and I could do it a little bit more uniform, I suppose, but it's not bad, it doesn't matter. What I've done is just used parts I've got the most of, so hence why you'll see 9L strips on a lot of the joins, different colours. I've had gold, green, I say gold, that looks like a repaint at the top, blue, we've got zinc down the bottom there, there's all sorts of silver paint, girders, and I'll have to add up how many girders I've used. Each section, just coming in here, watching the rotor blades, each section has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is it? 8? Possibly 8 at a rough count. So that's 8 times 3 for the section. That's the end of one section, the start of another. That's the end of the second section, start of another. So it's something like 24 per section times 3, and then you go on to the frame. I've probably gone a bit over the top on the upper part of the main structural support. I could probably take 2 of those out, but because of what I had at the time, and I am actually running out of angle girders now, 12.5 inch, because of what I got at the time, I've had to use what I've got. So there is a bit of a hole here, as you can see, but you'll have the legs at the bottom which stick out nearly 2 feet. There'll be one the other side, and there'll be guy ropes from the top dug into a bank, hopefully. So there you go, easier to show you now, will save me time on the big day once I get out to do the videoing. I need about 3 hours, I reckon. Oh, one last thing, if we just come up round here, you may have seen these pegs. Odds on I'll have to be putting it together on my own when I come to do the filming, so the pegs are there so I can put the parts together, just drop the pegs in, then start with the bolts. And there's a lot less bolts now, because there used to be about 10 bolts down here. Now it's just 1, and an axle and 2 collars. If you can see, that's quite dark, for putting it together quite quickly, and indeed taking it apart quite quickly, because the main structure, for example, will be there, and there's several bolts that hold the sides together. It's sort of a bit like a Discovery 3 and 4. It's like a monocoque with a chassis. So there you go, hope you enjoyed that, folks. See you again soon.